I'm so happy to be here again. And I'm going to do something that we do, as Mace said, I teach a lot of things. I teach, I've been teaching Buddhism for about 25 years, but I'm also a shamanic teacher. And at the Sacred Stream, I founded the Sacred Stream, the foundation of the Sacred Stream, to hold the teachings of a spiritual counseling model that kind of made itself known as I was doing hypnotherapy and transpersonal psychology. And it contains energy medicine, it contains Buddhism, it contains shamanism, it contains transpersonal psychology. So I teach all of those things plus depth hypnosis. So I mentioned energy medicine because we're going to be working a lot with energy medicine tonight. Can't avoid it when you're working with the clear light, right? So, but first, what I'd like to do, which is something that I do in all the circles that I teach, is do something called opening circle, which is a little bit more of a shamanic tradition. But what it does is it creates a container for us and for the work and for the learning. So I'll say a phrase, and you can say it after me. The sun is a circle.
Sun is a circle.
The moon is a circle.
The moon is a circle.
The earth is a circle.
The earth is a circle.
The drum is a circle.
The drum is a circle.
We are a circle within a circle.
We are a circle within a circle.
Beauty before me.
Beauty before me.
Beauty behind me.
Beauty behind me.
Beauty to my left side.
Beauty to my left side.
Beauty to my right side.
Beauty to my right side.
Beauty below me.
Beauty below me.
Beauty above me.
Beauty above me.
Beauty all around 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 me.
Thank you, everyone. So this evening we're talking about the Dharma of light. And in Buddhism, when we're thinking about light, the first, I don't know about you, but the first light I think about is the clear light. And the clear light is what we're going to be exploring this evening in meditation. And we're going to be talking about the experience of clear light in several different manifestations. But what I thought I would do first is have everyone introduce themselves to Circle and just say what brought you here, and then we'll go from there.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirby, and I've been meditating with light, hence the shirt, a lot since the summertime, and I just find it's a good way to connect with like loving kindness. I feel like the two overlap a lot, so I'm interested in exploring that.
I'm Pamela. I'm really here just to sit with the sun and just sit and be with everyone. I'm Mace. Oh, thank you, Noel. We're supposed to use this. Sorry, folks online. It's me again, Mace. I'm here also to sit with Isa and because I love this space and all of the Sangha members here.
Hi, I'm Sue. I've been sitting when I'm in town at the Dharma Collective for quite a while, and before that, Against the Stream. And I heard that you were an amazing teacher, so I decided to come tonight.
My name is Edie, and I'm new here, but looking for a collective to join, and also in expanding my energy medicine practice.
I'm Ben, and I'm here because my friend Tom invited me, and I can always learn more, and I'm in need of healing.
Hi, my name is Tom, and I just moved from Oakland where I sat with a couple of different sanghas, and I just been in San Francisco for a couple months now, and I've been following the newsletter, and a lot of things look really interesting. And I read the description of this. I said, we got to go. So that's why we're here.
I'm Gladys. Come here for two reasons. One is I want to sit with you. I think last year it became virtual, and this year really glad you're in person. And then secondly, just heading into winter solstice, want to make sure I'm like getting prepared for some ceremony.
My name's Jimmy, and I'm here out of pure curiosity. I've never sat with you before. I've never, so it'll be very interesting for me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Misha, and I was invited here by my friend. We just did a meditation course together. So I'm happy to be in circle with everybody, and just a nice, really, I'm interested in all these topics, and it's really nice to approach solstice with the sacred teachings together. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Meredith, and I'm here because I learned about Isa several years ago, and a good friend of mine sent me here who is also deep into Buddhism and practicing Buddhism, and I'm grateful to be with all of you and have found this place. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom. I'm here because I love this Sangha, and I'm very intrigued by your background. Having lots of things in your background I'm intrigued by people who put together things, put together one thing out of lots of different things. And also I'm just very moved by the amount of darkness that there is. And I'm not frightened by it so much as I just feel like it would be nice to have a way to hold on to some measure of light, even if it's a small measure, as we move ahead into this world, whatever it is. Thank you.
Hello, I'm John. I'm just here out of curiosity for the most part.
No.
I'm Noam, and I work a lot with light in meditation, and very curious to hear what Isa will say, and love always your classes, Isa. So thank you for being here. Do you want me to invite the online people to unmute?
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I'm Laura. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. It's my dinner time. I know about Isa through Sacred Stream. I've received depth hypnosis from practitioners there. I attended her shamanic journeying course a couple years ago. I'm what I would call a light Buddhist, which is to say not really a Buddhist at all, but I love learning from different spiritual traditions. And I always just appreciate the Dharma and what Isa has to say about it. So that's why I'm here. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm a depth psychotherapist, associate in training, and have been very curious about Sacred Stream and your teachings for years. And saw that you were teaching here tonight. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I'm very curious to experience your teachings and also just be in community with the Dharma Collective that I attended in more frequently in the past and I'm missing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. It's always so nice to know your names and know what brought you here, and it makes it feel cozier to me. So thank you. So we are here tonight to talk about the clear light, and what I thought we would do first is just do a little shamatha meditation, just to kind of settle in, and then we'll head in further. So I'll walk you in, and I'll walk you out. Just make it easy. So just allowing yourself to get settled, noticing all the places where the surface under you meets the different parts of your body. And as you do, just noticing where your breath is. Noticing as you breathe in where your breath goes, and noticing as you breathe out where your breath goes. And just becoming aware of your breath moving in and out. And if any thoughts should come into your mind, just let them pass through like clouds passing through the sky. And just return to your breath. Remember, the past is gone forever, and the future is not yet here. All you have is the present moment and your breath. And just allowing yourself to begin to notice as you continue breathing in and breathing out, that your breath is almost like a bridge between your outer world and your inner world. And just allowing yourself with each breath to draw a bit closer into your inner world, into that place where everything that you've ever known or felt or sensed or dreamed or imagined is recorded. And as you come into this place, just allowing all of your inner senses to open widely. Your inner sense of taste, touch, smell, your inner sense of sight and hearing, but especially that sixth sense of just knowing. Allowing all of your inner senses to open widely and fully as you begin to focus on all the forms of light that you know. The light of dawn, the light of dusk, the light of the morning sun, the light of the afternoon sun. The light at midday, the light of the new moon, the light of the quarter moon, the light of the half moon, the light of the three-quarters moon, and the light of the full moon. And the starlight. And remembering that light is not only something that you see, but you can also feel it. You can also sense it. You might even be able to hear it. And just allowing yourself now to remember all of your experiences of light and allow yourself to consider the ground luminosity, that light that's behind all light. That light is that is behind all manifestations and within all manifestations. The clear light, which is translucent, which is permeating, which is filled with compassion and emptiness, yet fullness. Just letting yourself step into a connection with the clear light, with every level of your being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Letting all of your senses take in all of the aspects of the clear light. And just allowing yourself to become aware of that clear light, which is the nature of your mind and the nature of your heart. This aspect of yourself that is connected to the ground luminosity that infuses all things. And just becoming aware of this ground luminosity within you, this Buddha nature that is consistently connected to the bliss, to the emptiness, to the compassion of the ground luminosity, infusing all things. And as you become aware of this clear light here within you, within your Buddha nature, just allowing yourself to feel this essential aspect of yourself, steady, connected to the universal flow in an unbroken way. Just recognizing this as your essence. The aspect of you that is most you, your Buddha nature. And again, opening all of your senses and allowing yourself to register the experience of your Buddha nature physically, mentally, emotionally, and feeling your spirit infused with the clear light of your Buddha nature. And as you stabilize in your Buddha nature, the experience of the clear light here within, allowing yourself to focus on someone you know well and whom you care about. And allow yourself now to take in this person, all of the aspects of this person, and allow yourself to become aware of their Buddha nature, that light within them, that steady connection to the universal flow, to compassion, steady behind all of the changing moods and conditions. And again, opening all of your senses and registering with all of your senses the experience of the clear light of the Buddha nature of this person. And then just coming back to your breath and resting in your breath for a moment. Maintaining awareness of the clear light of your Buddha nature, but just resting in your breath. And then bring to mind someone that you don't know very well, someone you might see every day at the bus stop or someone that you might see at the grocery store on occasion, or just someone that you know of, but don't know well. And then allow yourself to become aware, opening all of your senses and allowing yourself to perceive that clear light at the heart of their being, their Buddha nature, behind all the changing conditions and circumstances. That part of them that's connected to the ground luminosity in this personal way, and yet transcendent way, to the universal flow, place of compassion, wisdom, emptiness, and yet fullness. Just maintaining awareness of their Buddha nature. And then just coming back to your breath, resting in your breath. Maintaining awareness of your own Buddha nature, just resting in your breath. And then bringing to mind someone that you don't particularly care for, who you might feel judged by, someone that you don't feel a resonance with particularly on any given day. And allow yourself again to try to perceive with all of your senses, behind all the moods, behind all the circumstances, the changing experience. Try to perceive that steady, luminous quality within them, their own Buddha nature. It's connected to the universal flow in a steady way, even if they're not aware of it. And if you have difficulty perceiving the clear light within them, just come back to the clear light within your own Buddha nature. Align with it more fully, and then open your senses again. Perceive their Buddha nature. And then just come back to your breath, rest in your breath again. Aware of your own Buddha nature, aware of the clear light, the ground luminosity. And allow yourself to take a moment now and connect with animals that you know, trees that you know, rocks that you know. And just see if you can perceive, hear, sense the ground luminosity within each of them, their own Buddha nature connected to this field of compassion, emptiness yet fullness, this ground luminosity. Within them, even if they're not necessarily aware of it, just perceiving the ground luminosity at the heart of each of these expressions of being. And then when you're ready, just coming back to your breath, resting in your breath. Then taking a moment to just reflect on all the different forms of light that you've encountered here in this meditation. Letting all of your inner senses remain open. Noting all the different levels of being where this light has registered. And then just coming back to your breath. Watching it move in and watching it move out. And just allowing yourself with each breath to move back out. Bring your awareness more fully into the room. Feeling the surface under you again. Noticing again all the places where it meets the different parts of your body. Then you may want to stretch a bit as you come back more fully into the room. And whenever you're ready, just opening your eyes. Remembering everything. Just take a minute to reflect on your experience. I kind of meant to do a lecture before we did that. But we just kind of went. So I do have some things to say, but I'm interested in what your experience was. Maybe you can think for a moment, and if you're online, maybe you can write this in the chat. Would that be okay? No? So maybe think of a sentence that describes your experience of the clear light. Try to distill it into one sentence. And you can go around the room when you're ready. If you don't want to say anything, you can just pass it.
Hi, Kirby here again. My experience of the pure light is, it's like kind of a white light. It's very pervasive. And there's kind of this feeling of having been there before and going there after time in this body. And it's very blissful and kind of like the self dissolves into it.
My experience is that it's soft and full.
I found it gentle and welcoming.
For me, the light came in waves and kind of circled. It came into form a circle, and then the light kind of came as a wave coming down. It was just very, very fluid.
For me, I feel it's very universal and loving, but it also feels very raw. It's like the birth of things. Yeah.
It felt bright, but diffuse and permeating everything.
It was kind of a sensory moment within that felt safe and warm and at home.
I thought it would be white, but it turned out it was clear. So it didn't have a color, and it was pervasive and kind of penetrating in a certain way.
I think my experience of the clear light was a bit overwhelming.
I don't really experience visual things when I meditate, so it's more of a felt sense. It's it's hard to describe. It's very vertical and yeah, that's all. I think that's all. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was saying that it's more of a felt sense for me than a visual, and it's very vertical, and it's hard to describe. And no one had anything in the chat.
Okay.
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. So, so you had an experience of the clear light. Now, there is a basis for this, for this concept in Buddhism, and this idea of Buddha nature is something that I'd like to spend a little bit of time with, because it's part of the really important psychology of wholeness that Buddhism is. And it's this aspect of the self that is connected to what is understood and experienced as the ground luminosity. This is something that is encountered in the further reaches of shamatha meditation, or you could, there's many ways to enter into the field of the clear light, and schools of thought. All there, I would say that it could be said that one of the differentiating aspects of all the different Buddhist schools is the opinion or the idea of how one gets to the clear light. I think that you could say that this is you have in Dzogchen, you have all of the different practices of purification, and then you have in the Mahamudra and the Kagyu schools, and then in the Gelug schools, you have all the different layers of mind that are explored before you reach the great seal of the clear light mind. And in several different forms of Zen, there's these different ways and different approaches on how you should move into this vastness, this spaciousness. And and there's some schools that sort of the older schools that don't even spend a lot of time talking about the clear light. So there's so many ways of understanding the clear light, so many ways of encountering it, so many ways of experiencing it, and there are so many aspects of the clear light that different people can experience it in different ways. But there is this aspect of the Buddha nature within all things. And one learns most about it by trying to perceive one's own Buddha nature. And this is a task that is very important because, especially today, so many of us experience ourselves as disrupted and you know, it is traumatizing to be on the planet right now. I mean, we're so lucky that we have food, that we have water, that we have clear air, that we are not being displaced from our homes, that we have a place to sleep, that, you know, and yet within our own experience, there's so much, we're so aware of all of the beings that don't have those privileges. And we're so aware of, you know, the very tenuous experience of the earth at this time. And so, and, you know, I joke around when I'm teaching depth hypnosis, and it's not really a joke, but it's true, that all you have to do is be born and you're traumatized, right? Just the act of being born, it can be traumatizing for people. So, and so, you know, we're trying to cope with all these different inputs and traumas and experiences and, you know, mistaken ideas about things and attachments and aversions, and you know, there's all these changing things going on, and yet there is this Buddha nature within. And in depth hypnosis, which is, as I say, very informed by Buddhism, one of the ways that we understand a person who comes for help, and the kinds of help that people come for depth hypnosis are varied. They can range from depression to eating disorders to addictions to chronic fatigue to autoimmune disorders to, you know, physical disease. And the reason that depth hypnosis can address all of these different issues with all the different modalities that we work with that are catalytic in nature, that are drawn from the tantric forms of Buddhism and shamanism, is because we observe, or I've noticed in working for almost 40 years in the clinical setting, that all of the symptoms of disorder are simply a function of how people have turned away from their Buddha nature, how they have twisted away from their Buddha nature. And in fact, the symptoms of disorder are actually the path back to one's Buddha nature. And the whole point of depth hypnosis is to help people find that path back to that wholeness within them. And so the process that, you know, there's lots of processes that we do. There's, you know, depth hypnosis, you know, I'd been doing depth hypnosis clinically for about 20 years before maybe not quite that long, maybe 5 years, yeah, a while, before I realized that what we're actually doing in depth hypnosis is we are dissolving karmic patterns. And it's the karmic patterns that are the overlays to the Buddha nature that people usually experience. And the ripening of people's karmic patterns, of course, karmic patterns are those energetic patterns that tend to move, that a person tends to move within from lifetime to lifetime, or you might perceive it as the energetic patterns moving the person from lifetime to lifetime. There's lots of different ways to look at that. But the ripening of those karmic patterns are a function of the way that we respond to the stimulus around us. And so, like, it starts with your birth family. The way that you respond to your birth family experience is a function of your karmic patterns, and your response brings forward your karmic patterns from previous lifetimes, and here you have it. And if you're lucky, you encounter the Dharma, you encounter consciousness, and you realize that, like your hatred of your mother is actually a function of some disorder within you, right? And that you can change that. And that aversion that you have within you is a function of something, of a pattern. Your response is it's a function of a pattern that is developed over lifetimes that can be dissolved. It can be resolved. And of course, the way that you do that first is by taking responsibility for your responses, taking responsibility for and the energetic patterns that your responses create. And that doesn't mean that everything is your fault. That means that you can actually do something about it. The great thing about taking personal responsibility is you can do something about it. And even if you can't, let's say you have a physical disease that is a function of many different aspects of experience, and you can't, let's say you even have like a fatal diagnosis, you can still do something about it through your response, right? And working with the clear light, working with, connecting with your Buddha nature, establishing a stronger relationship with the clear light through your meditative practice is really a wonderful way. If you do have, for all of us, we're all going to die, right? So it's time to get to work learning about the clear light, because in all Buddhist practices that relate to the, we all know, you practice Buddhism because the way that you live is the way you're going to die, right? So we want to try to get a little leg up on things, get some kind of a familiarity with this ground luminosity, with this massive, I understand when you say it's overwhelming, because this massive field of luminous, transcendent, empty, compassionate, amazing experience it's good to get to know that field a little bit before you get plunged into it in the dying process, right? Into the dissolution of self at the time of death. So it's a really great idea to develop a relationship with your own Buddha nature, because that's going to help you in life. It's going to help you. I mean, I've had people come into my practice who are convinced that there is nothing good within them, that they're unworthy, that they don't deserve to have anything, and they just feel completely brought down by their experience of life. And I have several different ways of helping people understand, and begin to step into a relationship with their Buddha nature, so that they can begin to get a toehold. And meditation is the main way you do it in Buddhism, but there's other ways to do it. But having that experience of that part of themselves that is wise, that is compassionate, that is connected to the universal flow, it gives them a toehold to begin to, in Buddhist terms, take refuge beyond their karmic patterns. And then we can begin to work on understanding where this unworthiness comes from, or where this sense of lack of deserving comes from. And then, again, I'm not giving a lecture on depth hypnosis, but there's lots of different ways that we work to help kind of, sometimes I feel like I'm like clearing the brush, see right here, and it's always such a wonderful thing when people have this experience, and then that you have to develop a relationship with it over time. And so and in terms of developing this, the other part of the meditation where you're developing awareness of the Buddha nature in those around you and in the phenomenon around you. The task is to be able to get to the place. This is the big Dzogchen, it's a school of Buddhism, practice, which I think is a really great practice. I have found it to be profound, where you try to maintain awareness of the Buddha nature within everyone, with the ground luminosity within every manifestation, as you are aware of all of the changes going on the personality level and all of the energy exchanges and emotional brouhaha, like becoming, feeling that stability of the clear light at the heart of everything. And now you're into the realm of the two truths, right? Now you're stepping into the realm of the two truths, where you are aware of the relative reality. This is the relative truth, where everything's happening in this interchange and relationship, and of the ultimate reality, the clear light. And so you're aware of experience on both of these levels all the time, and you begin to be able to track how the ultimate truth is informing relative truth, and how relative truth is informing ultimate truth. And then you're having a very different experience of life and at that point. And so, there's a lot of different ways of developing this relationship with the clear light on the personal level, becoming aware on the interpersonal level, and becoming aware of it in the transpersonal level. And it really is a matter of familiarizing yourself with it. And I have some quotes from His Holiness the Dalai Lama that kind of illuminate a little bit about the clear light. He says that the ultimate state of mind is clear light, but its clarity can be covered up by negative emotional states such as anger, hatred, or anxiety. Another quote of his, "The fundamental nature of the mind is pure and stable. The innate, subtle mind of clear light, which is the basis of the cultivation of positive states of mind, is stable in that it continues eternally without interruption." And another quote of his says, "The grosser consciousness relies heavily on particles of matter. The subtler consciousness is more independent. It does not rely much on the brain. Luminescence, radiance, and immanence, the three states of the subtle mind," those are in some ways, three classes of the clear light. "All of these disappear into the clear light, the innermost consciousness." So I think those words are pretty illuminating. I'd like to see if anyone has any questions, and then I'd like to, if we have time, I'd like to do a little bit of energy medicine work with the clear light. But does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for the practice. I'm curious if you could describe a little bit more about the Sojin practice that you're talking about.
Oh, the Sojin practice, this is a school of Buddhism that, if you're interested in it, I really recommend that you look into Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche's teachings. He has it's very, very well developed set of teachings where it really is, the main practice is this exposure to the field of clear light, and then you're working constantly with it to stabilize yourself within it, and then working with the two truths to or, arriving at the two truths, being able to perceive it like all the time, at the heart of everything, and as you're walking around. I mean, the teachings are profound, and I really recommend, I can't do justice to them all. I mean, I can give you these highlights. Get it? Highlights? I can give you these highlights, but really, I recommend Tenzin Wangyal. He has a beautiful book, The Clear Light Nature of the Mind, I think it is, or the natural mind, luminous light of the natural mind. Really wonderful book. It will give you a lot of information.
Could you speak more to how the relative truth impinges on the ultimate truth?
The relationship between the relative truth and the ultimate truth. Well, let me offer you this. So this is a little bit, it's still Buddhist, but in depth hypnosis, I adapt this concept to the idea, and it's not a one-for-one. I know for all of the pure Buddhist practitioners, I know this isn't one-for-one, but it's a really good way for people to get to understand the ultimate truth and the relative truth. So I talk about the relative truth being the experience of self on a personality level. So it's your relationship with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mother or your father or your brother or your sister. It's all these interrelated experiences, your relationship to your work, your relationship to yourself, these things that are changing all the time. And within the relative experience are where many of the karmic patterns are running, right? And so there's these different ways of reacting that we have based on our aversions, our attachments, our misunderstandings. And that's the personality self. The ultimate truth you can think about, and I know I'm using the word soul. It's okay. It's going to be okay. I know we're in Buddhism, but it's going to be okay. So the self on the soul level, to think about that part of yourself that is kind of transcendent, that is in connection with the transcendent on a regular basis, right? And one of the big mistakes that people make is thinking that the relative truth is somehow lesser than the ultimate truth. And that impingement that you were talking about, that it's more like a relationship. And when you think about it from the soul level and the personality level, the way that I often explain that is, we've all had this experience where you have some kind of difficulty, where let's say, I think right now, one of the examples I use is often a case study of a client of mine who grew up in a situation, it was a very difficult situation. He had his father die, and his mother cheated him out of his inheritance, and he wound up out on the street, and he managed to get his GED, he managed to get into the military, managed to get the GI Bill, managed to become a lawyer, and then he spent most of his life after that finding out what the truth was and helping people who had been deceived, right? And so and for him, justice and truth was everything. And he was holding it a little bit too tightly, how people who are, righteous, too righteous, and that was part of his problem, and we had to work with that. But so he had all of this difficult experience where he was lied to and betrayed on the personality level, but on the soul level, but that experience on the personality level informed him on the soul level about his dedication to justice and truth, which are aspects I mean, again, it's a little bit of a stretch, but they are aspects of the clear light. So the difficulty on the personality level will often show you where your focus is within the ultimate level. And then you could also say on the soul level, the soul is offering these experiences so that one can perceive the soul level, right? So there's this interplay, and one informs the other. And I think that's easier to understand with soul level and personality level than it is with ultimate truth and relative truth. But then you can bring them together into the ultimate truth and the relative truth, and then your understanding of both deepens with that. I think that's the thing for me anyway. Is that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm curious in your depth hypnosis, how do you weave in Dzogchen practice, maybe dream yoga, or it's completely different?
You don't. It's the depth hypnosis is all about dissolving trauma. It's all. People get there, but when they're in the process of depth hypnosis, people are doing processes like we work in the altered state a lot. So people are working, like someone might come in, say, with an addiction, like they can't stop smoking pot, let's say. So then you want to find out, why are they smoking pot? What are the drivers to it? And a really good way to find out why someone's smoking pot and can't quit is to ask them what will happen if you quit. And then they'll have some kind of an emotional state that will come up. We use that emotional state as a basis for a regression. So we go back in time to the originating place where that emotion or that experience was most strongly registered. And we work with age regression, past life regression, prenatal regression. And then we introduce shamanic forms of healing adapted so that the person is empowered and doing the work actually themselves as a shamanic practitioner, doing power retrievals, like bringing power back into the system, doing soul retrievals, finding parts of the self that have been fragmented off, removing energetic interference when there might be some other person's or being's experience that is caught in their energy sphere that needs to be removed. So all of that, that's the work of depth hypnosis. So, and all of that work is dissolving karmic patterns. And so the more that you dissolve the karmic patterns, the more people can rest in their Buddha nature. And the more they have that experience of that clear light experience of the Buddha nature, which is at the heart of Dzogchen practice. But we're not calling it Dzogchen practice, and we don't get there through the practices of Dzogchen. We get there through the unraveling of karmic patterns. Yeah.
I was curious if you could say a little bit more about both the shamanic practices you do, as well as I'm getting a sense about both, whether it's through past lives or whatever, but something about the relationship with ancestors, whether you're feeling like that somebody like the client you're talking about, is there having a relationship with an ancestral figure who implanted something in them that they can't grow. I'm just kind of curious in a way about that stuff.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you can have energetic interference arising, that you're talking about energetic interference, an ancestor that's implanted something, or there's some pattern that you share with an ancestor, or that is creating interference in the way that you cycle your own life energy. Is that what you're talking about? That's definitely something that that's something that does occur, and that occurs in a lot of different ways. There's something that in shamanic practice called soul part exchange, which is basically the transference of certain types of patterns, usually pain, like for instance, you have trauma coming down through the generations. And the trauma, you think about the trauma as an energetic pattern that is being transferred from one generation to the next. Like, so for instance, and then you have that energetic interference in your own current lifetime that is related to the trauma or the patterns that the other people in your line had. Like, I remember I worked with this one woman. She was from a Scandinavian family in Minnesota, and she grew up on a farm, and it was very much, the men had all the power and the women were there to serve. And the women in each of the generations were expected to give up their power so that the family line could continue. And one of the things that happened was that the women were all, like, this was, my client had a connection with her mother, her grandmother, and her great-grandmother and her great-aunt. She could see this pattern in all of them in her own lifetime. And a lot of times you can see this even when people are not alive. But she saw how each one of them gave up their power and they became enraged in having to do that. So they would take the power of their daughters and use it for themselves. And then the daughter would grow up and do the same thing, have a daughter and do the same thing, take the power. So they had been forced to give their power, to give their life, and what's more than life energy, give their power to the men, and that left them in a state of power loss. And the way that they were remedying it was by taking the power of the younger generation. And so then the task then, in that case, and so that's just one example of energetic interference traveling along a family line. It's not at all uncommon.
Do you have to then do something with the
Oh yeah,
ancestors
you give
appease
back.
them, or-
No, that's a type of shamanic practice I don't do. But what you do is you help the person that you're dealing with become empowered. You do power retrievals, you do soul retrievals, and you do soul part exchanges where they take back the power themselves. So you can help the person in front of you heal by doing all of these processes. And then there's a method of flushing the ancestral line with clear light. But you can't really do any healing for the other members of the line because you don't have permission. But by flushing the energetic pattern of where the trauma is traveling, by flushing it with clear light, it loosens it so that anyone else, and whether alive or dead, when they come to try to work with these patterns, will have something like grace waiting for them. This work is wonderful. I mean, yeah, it is far-reaching, and we work with the clear light a lot in depth hypnosis. It's the first. So there's a whole range of energy medicine. There's all these different rays of sound and light that you can learn to work with, which you do learn to work with in the energy medicine classes. But the clear light is the ray of light that we begin with in the foundation course in depth hypnosis. And I teach people how to channel the clear light, and so that so we're working with it in the clinical setting at any given time. So you'll be doing a process with someone, you'll be talking to them. It looks like you're just talking to them about their issue. But then they're like, let's say they're hitting a block, they're having trouble understanding, the depth of something. Like I was just talking to someone the other night, and it hit her that she had been betrayed by this niece that she loved dearly, and it hit her, and she just started wailing when she realized it. So I'd bring in a big field of clear light and focus it to hold her as she's going through that, so that she could sustain herself and come out of it. And she came out of it, pretty quickly, and was able to kind of, metabolize it. and in a, without splitting apart, you know. So we work with clear light that way, and I wish we had like 5 more hours, so I could, I could show you the basics of focusing the clear light, but come take the class, we can do that. But there is one thing about the clear light. Did you want to say something? No. Sure. There's one thing that I do want to offer you about the clear light, working with the clear light, that is, which is something, it's a practice that I do regularly, and it's a practice that means so much to me, and I just want to offer it to you. So when you're working with healing, when you're offering yourself, your capacities as a healer, in whatever way that might be, you might be a teacher, you might be a community organizer, you might be a gardener, whatever your skill set is. In general, you have to have the permission of the person that you want to help in order to help them. That's like, this is, it's like, that seems obvious, but maybe it's not so obvious, because you really want to help them and they're not giving you permission and you really want to help them, right? But it won't do any good. I mean, whatever you try to do to help them will fall to the ground because it won't stay, because you don't have permission. So you can work really hard, and I've worked really hard in way too many situations, and it won't have the effect that you would hope it would have. But given how difficult things are and the distress that so many people are in, that we cannot, it's like, I often feel like I just want to pick up the world and rock it, you see people on the streets, trying to get warm, you see mothers losing their patience with children and hitting them, and you can't intervene. You don't have permission, right? And although I have done that, but you really don't have permission. But there's something that you can do, which you may not ever know the extent of the help that it offers, but you can trust that it will offer help at some point. And that is to work with the clear light. I call them milk bottles of clear light, because you remember when, I'm sure maybe a few people here remember when people used to get their milk delivered to their doorstep every morning. And so your bottle of milk would be on your doorstep, and you'd come and pick it up and bring it in. So one of the things that I do, like whenever I pass someone who's homeless or something, I might give them money or, something to eat or something, but I always leave a bottle of clear light right at the edge of their energy system, so that at some point, when they have a moment of grace, or there's some where they there's some kind of opening that happens, either because it's a moment of grace or a moment of great collapse or whatever it is, the clear light, that bottle of clear light will be there, and it will offer you don't know exactly what kind of sustenance it's going to offer, but it's going to offer an alternative, and it's going to make whatever is going on that's good better, and it's going to make whatever is going on that's not so good better, just because of the power of the luminosity and the connection to the ground luminosity that it provides, and so it can illuminate the Buddha nature within them, so they can find some resources within them. And you leave it right there, like, again, you don't, when you work with energy medicine, you can do so many things on a subtle level, but you really have to take a lot of responsibility and work only where you're invited. So by leaving the bottle of clear light there, you've offered something of great value. So that's something that I offer, a practice that I do on a regular basis, and I offer it to you. And if you decide you want to get in the clear light milk bottle business. Yeah, you just deepen your connection with the clear light so that it becomes kind of automatic and it becomes easy. So that's what I leave you with this evening. Let's go ahead and close circle. The sun is a circle.
The sun is a circle.
The moon is a circle.
The moon is a circle.
The earth is a circle.
The earth is a circle.
The drum is a circle.
The drum is a circle.
We are a circle within a circle.
We are a circle within a circle.
Just feeling the clear light behind you. We are a circle within its circle.
We are a circle within a circle.
Beauty before me.
Beauty before me.
Beauty behind me.
Beauty behind me.
Beauty to my left side.
Beauty to my left side.
Beauty to my right side.
Beauty to my right side.
Beauty below me.
Beauty below me.
Beauty above me.
Beauty above me.
Beauty all around 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 me.
The power of this circle remains a non-ordinary reality. You can call upon it at any time. Thank you, everyone.